Hi there, Stephanie Stevenson here, otherwise known as Watercolor Artiste in social media circles, and I am the artist of midlifeartist.com, and I would welcome you to my weekly live stream. Typically, I live stream every Wednesday night. Past couple of weeks has been a little sketchy where I haven't hit the Wednesday night mark, but last week it was Thursday, the week before it was a Saturday. It's been kind of a bumpy 2 weeks for me lately in all aspects of life. But I am making it tonight, this Wednesday, August 19th at 8 o'clock as scheduled. So I'd like to welcome you to my live stream. So good to see you. Hope to enjoy chatting with you. As is per usual for my live streams, I was faced with a couple of challenges ahead of launch. Rumble Studio was not working for me. It would not launch on my web browser. So I had to schedule a live stream the old-fashioned way on Rumble, which I think I did. Let me check my live stream. Yeah, it looks like I think it's running. I don't know. Um, I know that Rumble also has a delayed response when I live stream. So yeah, I'm having a grand old time here. Okay, Crazy Bear says on the chat that I am active on both. Very good. Thank you very much, honey. And I'm wondering why my chat is not in the usual spot. There it is. Okay. Hello, everybody. See, challenges. If I didn't have challenges, I wouldn't know what to do with myself. So anyhow, I've got a lot to talk about while I paint. I'm trying not to do a long intro, a long news and events this time around because I got a lot to accomplish, and I'll tell you why. So anyway, if you're in the chat, drop a hello and say, whatever. Use one of my emojis in Rumble that I have, my custom emojis. But yeah, so anywho, let me move on to news and events because last time I live streamed, I told you I was officially one of the exhibiting artists at the Creative Arts Guild Arts Fest coming up in September. This would be my third or fourth year. I think it's my fourth year participating because I've done it 3 years in a row. So yeah, this upcoming September would be my fourth year participating in the exhibition of the Arts Fest that happens every September at the Creative Arts Guild in Dalton, Georgia. And this year, I applied also to the event that is part of their opening weekend, which is the Arts Fest, which is a 2-day tent festival at their facility because it's a pavilion-like structure. In years past, I hadn't participated in that because I hadn't enough artwork to cover tent walls. This year, I think I will have enough artwork to cover my tent walls. I was waitlisted between last live stream and this one, and notified that pavilion, spaces under the pavilion were already booked up, and so that the only way for me to participate in the tent festival of Saturday and Sunday of the Arts Fest is to have my tent booth in the grass of the sculpture garden, which is open air. I really didn't want to have open air. I really wanted to be part of the pavilion so I wouldn't have to worry and stress out over weather. But it's also my biggest opportunity to sell prints and potentially sell artwork. So I'm going to grin and bear it because they've already processed my payment for that space, even though I said, listen, what's my last opportunity to cancel and get a refund in case bad weather is forecast. But I didn't get a response to that. They just processed my payment. So I'm going to go with it and just pray that where is my featured? There it is. Oh, okay, that's the featured. So, oh, okay. There we go. There it is. Hello. Hello, Kim. How are ya? Feel like there's a song. Hello, it's true. What is that song? Oh my gosh. Anyway, too many things going on in my head. But anyway, if you joined me last time, I was working on my biggest painting yet, and I still am, and I need to finish it so it can be drying and ready to varnish because it's going to go up on the tent wall in September. So yeah, I have to get this finished. I've got an upcoming trip coming in early September where I'll be taking a road trip to go visit my adult sons and meet my second grandson who's due to be birthed into the world at the end of this month, beginning of next. And so a lot's happening. September is going to be rocking and rolling for me, and it is going to be intense. If you're in the area, I suggest that you come to the Creative Arts Guild in Dalton, Georgia in September. You will be able to view the 4 paintings in the showing picture on the right-hand side, my Rehearsal at Dusk, The Fireman, Ghost of the Interior, and A Light in the Darkness. Those were accepted into the exhibition. The other 2 paintings weren't accepted, but that's okay. They're going to be on my tent walls. So you'll be able to see them at the event, of course, that same weekend. So yes, that's what's happening there. And so that's my news and events. I'm going to talk a rest while I work on here. I'm going to show, hold on, my palette cam. I got titanium white, ground white, yellow, transparent yellow, oxide. I got lemon yellow. I've got red transparent oxide. I've got red ochre, and then I've got burnt umber. So these are all going to be for the background and the rock structures that are in the painting. So I just wanted to let you know what colors I was using. If you're wondering, that's what I'm going to be working with tonight. Thank you, Kim, for the congratulations. I appreciate that. I do have the 2-view cam, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick to the camcorder view so everyone can see the chat as it goes. Hello, I had to step my camcorder camera back some because of the height of this painting is so big. You can't even see the top of the painting. The top corner is definitely cut off, and the bottom corner here is cut off. So it's hard to get the full painting in view. So I'm going to let this be the main view that you see. And if you need to ask me about my palette cam, about colors, and I might be adding or whatever, feel free to do so in the chat, and I will definitely try to answer those questions as I go. This is oil painting. This is 24-inch by 48-inch, and it's just an impressive photo I saw. I really wanted to utilize this canvas in a very tall profile way, and I thought this was a great subject matter to do that. I am not a rock climber. I am not a skydiver. I am not afraid of heights, but you won't see me dangling by a thread, at least physically, from a cliffside. I might be dangling by a thread emotionally here and there, but you won't see me doing this, and I will not jump out of a perfectly good airplane. I'm just not the daredevil type, even though I am not scared of heights. So anyway, but yeah, let's see here. I'm just checking to make sure everything's going okay. I don't know what's going on here. I was checking my streams. Everything okay? Am I having more technical difficulties? If I'm having more technical difficulties, if I'm not coming through, let me know. I don't know what's going on. YouTube seems to be on my live stream not working. I don't know why. Anywho, if you're there, just I'm hearing you just fine. Okay, great. Good, good, good. Okay, so I'm going to put up my reference picture on my camera, on my monitor. Um, I am not going to worry about the stream at this point because it'll only distract me. So, but anyhow, okay. So, oh, I didn't even get my. I've been so struggling to get ready for this live stream and overcoming obstacles and challenges that I didn't even get my not paint thinner, but you know the fluids that I use to paint with. I didn't get those ready, so thankfully it's not too far away. So don't think I'm going to be using blue. I've got another one with a blue stain to it. I've got my cough drops because I have I have had some allergy coughing going on today. I had to drug up with allergy medicine, the nasal stuff, the Claritin D, you know, you name it. This season has been pretty rough on me for that. I don't know why. It's been the worst it's been since I can remember, and I don't know why. Uh, so yeah, if I cough a little, I'm gonna grab a cough drop, and I apologize in advance for that. So anyway, so what I'm going to do is this last time I did a lot of blocking in the background with color over the underpainting, which you can still see some of the underpainting down here. I didn't quite touch down here because this is kind of a nebulous area of my reference photo. So I'm going to have to make that up as I go along, but it's definitely far distant. So it doesn't have to be details that one can readily identify. It just has to be something your eye would automatically assume when you're looking at the painting. The other thing is, so I got the blue sky, the sunset. Now it's a little bland. It doesn't have a lot of yellow. It's got more of the transparent red oxide than it does the yellow. So I'm going to try to come in on this with some more yellows and oranges to get more of that sunset effect coming in. So I am going to do that. And I'm going to try to get something more defined down here. And then the other thing I did last week was I went and I did a glaze over the underpainting of the foreground cliffs that my rock climber, who is not yet defined, is scaling. This side is more of a red-orange. This one has more of a beigey yellow to it based on the color of the sunset coming through. So at this point, that's kind of what we're doing here. I'm going to just start touching at areas with my oil paints. If you're wondering what kind of oil paints I use a combination of 3. Again, I apologize for the cough drop, but I don't want to cough in your ears. I got Master's Touch, which is the brand from Hobby Lobby. It's the only art store very close to me. I also am using Blue Ridge oil paints from Asheville, North Carolina, Blue Ridge. And then I also have Winsor Newton oil paints. So I do have those. Those are the 3 that I use, mainly Blue Ridge and Master's Touch. From there, I think the last thing I'm going to be doing on this painting is probably the rock climber himself. I don't think I'll be able to touch him today because, like I said, I still need to get the background more set because when you work on a painting, you work from back to front, you know, furthest back to closest. And so the furthest back is, of course, the sunset. I got to get my Galkid, which is a fast drying medium. That'll help my work tonight dry faster so I can work on it again either on this weekend or next week. So let's see here. Yeah, Crazy Bear confirms in the chat if you're watching how bad the allergies have been. He himself has been suffering in about the same amount as I have. We don't, we don't know for sure what that's about. I think it's a combination of factors in that it's environmental. I think the season has definitely been one that is worse off for some reason. Not exactly sure why. Another is that we have mama cat and another cat that we are fostering until Stella is her name. She's an orange short hair that needed help. And so we're fostering her, hoping to find her a home sooner rather than later. We're a little discouraged because it's hard to find stray cats homes in this area. There's too many stray cats for homes. So yeah. And then probably dust. I need to probably vacuum more. Okay, so what I think I'm going to do, I think I'm going to tackle this area here, the sunset first, because again, my rock climber is going to be in front of that, and I don't want to try to paint him and the sunset at the same time. It's not going to work. So we're going to get this one going first. Again, apologies for the cough drop. So yeah, we've had quite a banger summer in terms of just the kind of allergies that really just knock us down and out for the count. Like I said, it's been a while since I've ever had this kind of a bad allergy season ever. I'll do palette cam so you can see me mix. I'm mixing some yellow, cadmium, lemon yellow actually, lemon yellow with white, and it is a little bit too cringy yellow. I need to soften it a little bit. I could have probably done yellow ochre and titanium white to get the same effect, but I really wanted a bright yellow. And then I need to move into getting an orangey effect. I'm going to put a little bit of crimson alizarin from Winsor Newton on here. Just a little. I'm not using a lot of that tonight. I'm going to try that to mix some orange for the sunset as well. I want to kind of accentuate those colors a little bit and really kind of get a blazing sunset. We'll see where it takes me. Okay, so the brightness is white here. And so the yellow is on the edges of my thing. I've got some yellow here, and then it's mainly orange. Let me also do some orange so I can do that as well. And Mama Cat is sitting in her window seat in this room, and she's snoring away, and her snores are little whimpers. So I know she's sleeping. She's adorable. But if I approach her with a camera, she'll freak out on me, I think. So I'm not going to do that. I've got a peachy orange here, and I think that's okay. It just needs to be a little lighter, I think. So yeah, I'm mixing some colors first on the palette. I often will mix on the palette and then mix on the canvas. I don't know if you're an artist watching, what is it that you like to do? Do you like to mix when you're painting either in acrylics or oils? Do you like to mix those colors first on your palette and then apply them? Or do you like to mix colors on the canvas as you paint? I do a little of both. So, okay. My medium here is 6 parts of Gamsol to 1 part linseed oil. So that's what I'm using here. All right. We'll do a little bit of Gal Kid All right, let me go ahead and go to camcorder here. So I'm going to see how this looks. So yeah, this is, it may not come out much that you can see because you're a little far away because I'm trying to get the full picture of this this painting in view. So you're not, yeah, you're not even seeing that yellow from the looks of it, but there it is. I'll have to do palette cam later. So this is kind of going over almost like a glaze because, and then I'm gonna do, this might be a slightly bigger brush than I should be using, and I might have to make some adjustments here. And then again, the edges of these rocks will be defined when I get going, so I'm not worried about overstepping the edges of the cliffs here because I will define them. I'd like to get that the sky defined even if it's over the edges of the rocks, because I paint these later and I can redefine those edges as I go then. So you mix on the canvas, yeah. Well, that's okay. Mixing on the canvas is perfectly fine. Like I said, I do a little of both. Um, I do a little of both. I'm sitting in my chair because, you know, I'm working in the middle lower portion of this painting and it's at the perfect height. But when I get up top, I'll have to stand. But, and then there is some yellow here. I think that's kind of registering, I think. Like I said, I'm brushing over the edges of the rocks here. I'm not worried about, you know, worried about that so much because I am going to be painting over that as we go. So that way the sky is cleanly painted at the edges of the rock. So the past 2 weeks have been a little rough. When I said in the beginning that the past 2 weeks have been kind of what amounts to like hell on wheels, and excuse my French, but that's kind of how it feels to me right now. Work has been quite pressing, quite stressful. Things have been hopping there. A lot of the people at my workplace are new, so I've got like 50% of people there, new faces, as you know, in the last, you know, month, 2 months, some as recently in the last 2 weeks. So they're learning the ropes, they're learning, you know, the systems, they're learning the products. Um, and I've essentially become one of the legacy employees there now. And I've never been at a company where I'm considered one of the legacy employees. You know, I've never been at a place that long that's what happens, right? So I'm now kind of looked to for all kinds of things that I wouldn't normally be looked to. I'm constantly getting requests for things that are normally the purview of a different person. a different role rather. I like to refer to roles and not people, because I'm not one of those people that points fingers if I can help it. Unless it's warranted because accountability or consequences need to ensue, but that's very rare. Um, and very rarely do I know um, who's at fault for any kind of thing. So I don't really, worry about finger pointing or whatever like that. But certain roles, I don't, I'm not hired for. I'm a buyer. So I try to help out where I can, because obviously there's a lot of new people. So a lot's being asked of me, and I don't mind helping because by nature I'm a helper. Um, but my work is suffering because a lot of my time is spent helping others in their jobs, and so I'm not getting my work done on a timely fashion. And it's a little, so the last 2 nights of the week, I actually have been working late, like up to like 8 o'clock at night, trying to catch up on my work and still help finish with some of the stuff I'm helping others with. It's been kind of crazy, and things are a little precarious. You know how if you're in a manufacturing, kind of role, or workplace, your job is to get product out the door to customers, and on a timely fashion. The product has to be good and all that stuff. And sometimes you're dealing with an engineering group, and the design isn't proven or whatever, but they're trying to rush it to market or whatever the case may be. You end up kind of getting stuck in the middle of those things. And let me tell you, when you're stuck in the middle of those things, you can really, and you're dealing with a customer that is so big, it's one of the biggest customers of your business, that you could potentially lose business for. You're jumping through hoops. So it's actually very much stressful, because, a lot's riding on your ability to do this or to do that. And so, yeah, it's been a little disconcerting, I have to say. But at the same time, I feel like my efforts have been helpful, and they've been recognized. So that's the good part. I still work with some good people. And when I say still, it's because there's so many new people at the upper and lower levels that you don't know them well, so you don't know how they'll be. You can't vouch for them, but I imagine that my workplace would not have hired them if they weren't good at what they did. Hopefully, So there we go. I got some orange here going on. Oh, you love the large canvas, huh? Yeah, I like working big. Um, I'm not as good at working smaller. That really that punched that sunset forward, didn't it? What I did is I'm adding, let me show you in palette cam. So I made this peachy orange here. I've added some of the red transparent oxide to this to give it a little bit of a darker tone. And I'm adding it to the areas where there's a little bit more darker orange effect. So that's what I'm doing. So yeah. And again, I'm not worried about these edges here. I'm going to redefine those when I go to do the rocks. But now you're getting a real sense of that sunset, I think. I would think anyway. I'm going to get some of that sunset over here. And again, I'm blending some of these colors. They're wet already on the canvas. So I'm blending now on the canvas, where I've also mixed on the palette. So yeah, I got to get this a little bit toned down. We just need the edge kind of defined. So yeah, the closer you get to the sunset area, the brighter and whiter this is, even though there's hills in the background. But yeah, I think that's coming out really well. So yeah, so work has been very stressful. I'm actually, unfortunately, I'm not getting as much rest as I normally would with it, because I find myself thinking about work when I'm laying down for the night, or if I try to take an opportunity to nap after work or whatever, I end up thinking a lot about work. So yeah, it's not exactly trying to figure out how I get, well, I need to probably put a little bit of blue out here. Let's see. Let's see about a little bit of this cerulean blue. I'm not sure if this is the right blue I want to use, but I'll just put a dab will do ya. A little dab will do ya on the palette, they say. So let's see about adding a little bit of blue. That gives me a landscape color though with the burnt umber. So that's probably a good idea. So there you go. And over here is with another hillside, and it's very faint, very distant. So I want to give just a hint of it. I'm not worried about details. I'm worried about tonal values with the distance. But even now, that's looking like it's a very sunshiny sunset. So yeah, and even still, I could probably get away with brightening the sky a little bit as more of a whitish, more white than blue area. Let's see if I can get another brush here. So what I'm trying to do is get in my palette a little bit of a very bright or light blue, because that really is up here. Again, I'm not worried so much about the edges. Not really worried. I'm not going to let the paint dry on it like that, because let's see here. Over here, it's also very white. Almost white, but not quite. So I'm just trying to fade that up into the blue of the sky. Now that, let's see here. Trying to see about these distant hills having a bluish gray or greenish gray. I guess it depends upon when you look at it, I guess. Sometimes when I look at it, I see a purplish gray. Other times when I look at it, I see a green gray. So I keep switching back and forth between the two. So that's why I add a little bit of blue to it. So your eye mixes the purple. So it doesn't matter what it actually is because your eye does the completion. Hey Zen, welcome to the stream. Missed all the fun, challenging parts. Well, I actually ironed most of those out before I hit start on the live stream, but nothing like a live stream without some sort of challenges, right? I don't usually end up uh, having many successful live streams where they're not riddled with some sort of issue. But I am doing all right. It seems like, Ron is my kind of checker outer for me on those things, making sure things are working for viewers. And he lets me know, and then I can try to figure out what's going on. But so far, I think it's happening. So yeah. And I'm not worried about, like I said, painting over edges here because all this will get painted over too. So now let's see, how do I want to handle this? This is actually closer than back there, so this actually has to be darker. And when I squint at it, it's definitely not as dark as the foreground rocks, but it's definitely darker than the background. So I'm probably okay with this tonal value. I wouldn't go much darker. So now I'm going to use more Galkid. I'm using the burnt umber and cerulean blue. I'm going to kind of get this going. Trying to give it a good tonal value. I'm adding a little bit of ground white to the mixture on the palette. Let's see what I can come up with here. There's some let's see, can you guys see that? Now again, this is the only part of the underpainting I have not blocked in with any color because like I said, it was nebulous for me. And you can see, I see that there's a lot of brighter spots here because this is in the shadow of this hill, so it's not getting direct sunlight. So the small village in this valley here is already lighting up with lights and such, but it's not quite nighttime. So that's kind of a difficult thing to, I think, capture. So yeah, I'm just trying to see how it's going here. Oh no, your wife's boss passed away. Was that expected or is that a surprise? Then, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I am so sorry to hear that. Was your wife close to her boss or strictly business? Or I hope, you know, it's hard to deal with a loss in the workplace. I dealt with that last September, actually, almost a year ago now. The master scheduler or master planner that I worked with passed away suddenly. She was sick. She was one of those that believed in the shot, if you know which shot I'm talking about, um, and the boosters. And she was never healthy again after all that. And she got sick real bad, and she was struggling. She'd gotten diagnosed with some rare disorder. Um, and so, but yeah, it can be pretty devastating, especially if you've been working with someone for a long time. The person that passed away at my workplace in last September, she was not only my coworker, she was actually my friend. I did a painting in memoriam for her for my workplace um, because she was a fixture there. Um, so it was hard. I actually cried uh, myself because she was a friend, and she was always trying to be a good person, even though politically she and I would probably never see eye to eye. We never talked politics. She was a good person. Um, so yeah, I definitely need to get gray blues here. And then in this foreground is the underside of this rock cropping in the very foreground. So I'm trying to take a look at what I'm looking at here. I feel like I need to get ultramarine blue is probably a better blue than cerulean. So let me see. I'll show palette cam. You can see my little, this is my little bin of oil painting colors. Aha. Winsor Newton French Ultramarine is probably a good one to use. Another one is Cobalt Teal, believe it or not. Um, and then I also have the Blue Ridge Oil Paint Cobalt Blue, but I definitely think Ultramarine Blue is the way to go. I know I'm going to need Prussian Blue later, so I'll keep that one out. And you always have a big tube of titanium white. I don't have a big tube of black because I don't really use black, by the way. I make dark colors. But oh, 15 years. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, you know, a lot of people that I worked with. Now, I'm grateful that my workplace, even the parent company at the time, did not mandate the shot. I would have had to have walked away. And I would not, um, that would have been devastating for our family budget. So I'm grateful the Lord protected me through that. Um, but a lot of people up there believed what they were told. And unfortunately, a lot of people get sick real easy up there now. And she was one of those that got sick all the time. And for the longest, they couldn't figure out what was wrong with her. Um, and then she had trouble with the health insurance not covering stuff, which is the same health insurance I would have been on. And that you pay a huge premium to, right? But then they like refuse to cover things. So they're trying to do tests to figure out what's wrong with my coworker. And because the doctors were ordering these tests to try to figure out what was wrong with her. Of course, you can't, in the New England area, the heart of New England is of a liberal political leaning. And so you're dealing with doctors and staff and stuff of the medical industry, for one, and two, you're in a politically blue zone. So she went through, she had to fight, the doctors had to fight to get her tests, and things. And then they diagnosed her with some sort of weird malady I've never heard of. I couldn't even remember what it was, to tell you the truth of it. Oh, I'm sorry. You guys aren't seeing me paint. Hold on. Camcorder. Sorry. All right. But and the test was expensive. And she had to fight, the doctors had to fight on her behalf with the insurance, the so-called insurance. That's what I call it, because, I watched her struggle, get things done to try to help her get back to some semblance of healthy. And at every turn, the health insurance that was offered to us as employees, and it's a big name, I'm not going to say which one. You guys could probably determine which one that would be. It was a big fight. And I'm thinking, if I have to fight for, tests and things of that nature, and therapies, she had to fight for therapies that they were suggesting she try to get healthy. She had to fight every turn. And I'm thinking, why would I pay the kind of premium that I would be paying, which at the time I was, for health insurance that you have to fight with? It was essentially giving them free money, because the premiums are just for the purpose of having health insurance. You still had to pay a high deductible. My deductible was somewhere in the $3,000 range for individual per year. And now it's upwards of close to, it's like $3,800 now, in a year's time. So, and I never use enough I never use enough medical services to qualify for that kind of expense per year. The closest thing I use is chiropractic, and I pay out of pocket to the chiropractor because I got the high deductible. So I'm thinking, why am I mean, I know it's catastrophic. At this point, the kind of insurance I had was catastrophic, but there was no guarantee that the insurance is going to cover something catastrophic. They said, they would put in their policy that you couldn't just go to the ER. You had to have a medical reason to go to the ER, because, it wouldn't be covered. And ambulance, unless it's an emergency, but they wouldn't tell you what their definition of emergency was. And so it's like, you know what? Why am I paying a hefty premium out of my pocket for this, if I have to fight at every turn to get the coverage I'm paying for? Or that if I have to wonder if my medical emergency is really emergency for them, what, how do I know what's what? And no one else was asking these questions at the time, and I wasn't getting a lot of answers. And so that's why Ron and I were without health insurance right now. And it's not because I want to be, it's because it doesn't provide a value to me uh, like it used to. And nothing's been the same since Obamacare, or Obama fraud, really. Uh, and it's been, the medical establishment, the health, the insurances, all of that is horrid. I'm getting on a soapbox. I should probably stop. Getting on a soapbox. But anyway, I'm just going and going. Anyhow, but yeah, that's too bad about your wife's boss. No, it's not that one. That was the last great health insurance Zen I had, and that was in 2019. I had no problems with that particular one in 2019 when I had to have an emergency um, hysterectomy or partial hysterectomy. Um, After that, it was the other one that a certain CEO was shot in the public space. So, yeah, that one. And unfortunately, that's been our health insurance option, and it's not really a choice. You get you can get the what is the equivalent or as close to the equivalent of HMO as you can with a plan that you pay out the nose for premiums, but you're still dealing with the same company that will probably decline to pay certain claims that typically back in the day wasn't declined because it wasn't, so yeah. 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 Yeah, the insurance companies now, it's not really insurance. A lot of, I was in a thread on X about, it'd be nice if they just did catastrophic insurance that's affordable. So, you can not have to pay into a scam insurance. And I agree. But they don't allow, since Obamacare, they don't allow for that. Um, you don't get that choice. Um, and you can't, if you get, what I found out was um, if you decline your employer's sponsored health insurance, and I use health insurance loosely, by the way, because it's not really insurance in my estimation, but if you decline that, you don't qualify for the Obamacare subsidized stuff. You don't, you can still buy your own private health insurance, but that's just as expensive, if not more so, for the same kind of crappy coverage, which is not really coverage. It's, here, pay your high deductible. And then when you're really sick and whatever, we might pay 20%, you know, out of, or I mean, 80%, you pay 20. That's kind of their game. So yeah, the whole health the medical and health industrial complex is just that. Um, it's just another money grabbing scam for people who are scared to be without insurance. And I don't get me wrong, I'm scared that we don't have a catastrophic plan, but we don't have any options for that. So, I got to be careful. Um, Driving locally and everywhere. You got to be careful driving. You got to have you got to have all kinds of awareness you should always have that regardless. But yeah, it's not great. So, I continue to pay for my chiropractic care because I need it once a month. And I pay out of pocket for that without health insurance. And what I would have paid in health insurance claims, or premiums rather, is going into a private after tax account at my personal bank for me. And if I don't need it for health insurance, it's not really identified as a medical account in any IRS sense of the word because it's my savings account. But I use it to kind of house some money in case something happens. And that's in addition to an FSA, which is a pre-tax medical account, but they cap you at $3,800 a year. So you can't put more than $3,800 into that account any given year. I don't even pay that much in chiropractic care. Okay, so I've been painting and talking, and actually it's been kind of successful. I'm just sitting here blah, 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 blah. And here I am kind of getting a landscape going here that was still underpainting at the last. So that's not bad. This is still a little dark. I'm going to work on this, kind of lighten it up a little bit because it's still too dark, because this has to be the darkest structures, I think, going forward. So. But yeah, in any case, it's not great. I feel like I wouldn't have I would feel like I have catastrophic health insurance with my employer sponsored plan. It's not insurance, it's a plan. But essentially, what was it going to be like? I forget the premium cost was going to be upwards of $140, $150 per paycheck just for the premium. So just to have that catastrophic plan where you still had to fight to get them to cover anything, had to fight to get things classified correctly, whatever. The fact of the matter is I still have the high deductible. I still have to pay out of pocket to the chiropractor. And I just thinking, why am I paying all this money? Yeah, catastrophic. And so that was the weighing. Hey, honey. Mama cat just came out of her hidey hole. Let me see if I can get her on. She's not quite there. She's right there, but you can't see her. Hey, Mama cat, what are you doing? Do you want to go out there? Hi. Hi. You want to come up and say hello to everybody? You want to say hello to everybody? Yeah? Come here, baby girl. I'll put one of my fleeces down. She's got nails. Hey, baby, you want to come up? Come on up. Come on. Right here. Hey, baby girl. Come on. Come on. Hi, girl. Come on. You coming? Yeah, you can do it. Come here, baby girl. Come here. No? You know you want to come up here, don't you? Say hi to everybody. Or do you know? Are you a smarty cat? Come on up. What? I don't know if I can convince her. In a minute here, I'm going to I love that. Your savings account is 4 mason jars. Yeah, I've got a mason jar in my bedroom, one of the big ones. Come here, baby. That I have coins. You coming up? I'm going to give you another chance to come up and say hello. Come here, baby. No? Okay. She's not interested in the lap. I'm surprised because usually she is. All right. hold on a second, guys. I am going to let her out. Hold on a second. I'm going to go back to my camcorder screen. There we go. Hey, baby, come on. You can go out here. There you go. There you go, sweetheart. There you go. Good girl. There she is. Okay, so she's out now. So, honey, she's probably going to come to you or come to the office. All right. So I've got quite a stark. So this is definitely coming forward very much, but I still think it's a little dark. So we'll see. I'll let that dry and see how it goes. I'm going to probably start on the rocks next here. So, all right. Let's see here. I'm zooming in my reference photo to kind of see what I should probably get my husband to do a palette check for me on this photo so I can make sure I've got some of the right colors going forward, but I'll just get something started. I got a lot of paint swatches that are not so great. Let's see here. So, but anyway, enough about that stuff. It can be depressing if you dwell on it. Let's not dwell on it. Let's just put our faith that the Lord has us, you know, and when our time is, it's appointed already. So there's no sense in worrying about it. I just put my faith in God. I try to stay careful as much as that's within my power to do so. I can't control what other people do on the road or in other places, but I can be aware. I can drive as safely as possible, which I do, and leave everything else in God's hands. That's how it goes. Okay, so I'm going to work on this side here, right here. Or maybe just the top altogether. That top up there, maybe I'll angle the thing up a little bit and see if I can't. I wonder if I could use my palette knife to do some painting, you know, some of the stuff, just to kind of get a jagged kind of effect. Let's see here. I'm looking at my recently acquired palette knives. See if I can do that. Let's see here. All right, this is my mixing palette knife. I'm going to use this palette knife here. You can see that to see if I can't do some painting for edges. I'm going to use this one to mix like I usually do. All right, so up there is a bright orangey. It's almost like this that I did the sunset with. And maybe that's what I do, is make more of this peachy color. I might have to get a cadmium yellow. I have to tell you, the more I work with colors, and especially in the mixing thereof, the more I'm realizing I'm gaining a knowledge of what kind of yellow I need to get a certain kind of effect, or what kind of blue, or what kind of red. And again, I'm talking primaries, because you can get practically any color when you mix from the primaries, but you have to be really good at it. I'm not saying that I am, but I do feel like I'm getting better experience the more I paint. So I'm getting an intuitive kind of sense about color mixing. Still a lot to learn. I'm looking at my picture, trying to get a sense of just what kind of orangey that bright is. That's still kind of too peachy red. I need it. I'm adding a little bit more cadmium yellow to get more of an orangey effect. Let's see how that does on this. I'm going to angle the camcorder up so we got the full upper portion of that canvas. There you go. There it is. So now you can see I'm going to have to stand. I got to stand for this. Well, that's pretty broad. I don't know who you're talking about. I watch a lot of videos on YouTube for art related stuff because you know, there's a lot to learn, and people that have already learned the good stuff, you know, are already teaching it. So, you know, because I don't profess to know much, but I do watch some, but nothing that's more focused on that. So let's see here. Let's see if I can do some palette knife painting. I don't know if I can or not. I don't do a lot of that. So like up here, there's a face to the rock that is and it kind of gives an effect of jaggedness. You can't see that because it's so small and the camera is so far away. So let's see here. What if I did over here? So this is an edge. And you could probably hear it. I'm kind of scraping the canvas because I don't know what I'm doing. But I want to give edges like rock. And I think a palette knife edge probably does that. So, like I said, I'm trying something new here. Up here is an edge. You can already see brightness there. Because I figure if I use a paintbrush, it just gets kind of smoothie. And this is rock, right? So you want edges. You don't want smoothness. You want broken rock edges. And I figure a palette knife would probably do that. Anyone, Zin, when it comes to that guy that you're talking about, if you've got a link, put it in the comments section of the live stream, and I'll take a look and see if I've watched any of his videos. So you can see it's definitely coming out bright. I'm not sure. Trying to do both edges. Here, here. And I will do a palette palette cam close up here like I usually do. Once I have a little bit of this kind of hard to paint with a palette knife. You have absolutely no control. And maybe that's the point. And I am a control freak. Okay. Yeah. Throw it in if you find it, then I'd be interested to see. I've seen some artists have some videos on color mixing. I don't want to cut into this. I might be using the wrong size of palette knife. Maybe I'll try a slightly bigger one. Let's see. So what I've got is the one I've been working with is this one. Then I have this one. I haven't even touched paint to yet, brand new. And then I got this one. This might be one to work with, this shape. Maybe I'll try that one. And then there's a super long one, slightly bigger. So let me try this one. What do you think? All right, we got paint on it. Let's see what happens. Can you hear me scraping? I get a little nervous when I'm scraping on canvas. Now I'm trying to do it left-handed, and I'm a right-handed person. I don't know. Yeah, you behave yourself, crazy bear. Behave. That's what you must do. Well, it will definitely take some time to practice this, I have to say. Trying to see if I can. All right, you guys want to see that up close? I'm gonna get palette cam. Okay. All right, you guys ready for palette cam? Let's see here. Where's my mouse isn't responding. That's just great. All right, palette cam. Let's go there. Okay. So here is what it's looking like down low. Again, with the glare, you can see my shadow of me holding the thing, but you can see I'm trying to get the haziness of the distant hills there. You can still see my guy. His bottom foot comes all the way down here, the top of his topmost hand up here, and then I'll get a very narrow rope. But here is the palette knife work of the brightness of those rocks. You can see just scraping. So when I step back, you get that effect. Try to see. But yeah, what do you think? You think that the palette knife scraping action is working for that effect, or should I go to brushes and use brushwork, which I'm much more familiar with, but I don't think registers as rock very well. What do you guys think? All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. All right. You think it's working, Kim? I think it's giving the effect of rock, so I'm not unhappy with it. It's just, it's very uncontrollable. Like I feel like I should have better control of where the paint lands, and you just don't. You just don't have that control, and it's like, oh, I want that control back. I am definitely a control freak, and yeah, Crazy Bear, you hush. It looks up close, it looks like a mess. And I'm not sure if I like it. But when I look at it on the camera, I'm like, that looks like The Rock. You know? And it's like, oh, okay. I'm running out of paint is what I am. Let me go back to palette cam. I have to use my touchpad because my mouse, for some reason, is not working all of a sudden. This mouse is being wonky. Okay, I got to paint more. I got to mix more of this. So, and I got to remember how I mixed it to get that color. So that's always fun. I never mix enough paint, I guess. Or, well, I can't say I never do, because then sometimes I waste paint because I didn't use it all. But that's not true. So, all right, let's mix more of this. I know it was that a little, so the lemon yellow, a little bit of the crimson alizarin, a little bit of this that I've mixed in. Like a hodgepodge. Let's see what I get when I mix this stuff. I probably have to add a little white, titanium white, not ground white. That's pretty close. All right, that's pretty close. I think what I need to do is also add a little bit of the Gal Kid. I think the reason the knife work is very scrapey. It's not heavy paint because one, I don't have a ton of paint. I know it looks like I do, but I don't painting like with heavy paint is not my gig. At least not right now. Uh, so oh, I gotta switch back over to the camcorder so you guys can see. Thanks, Sin. So what I think I need to do to even out, when you're standing in person at the painting, you do see this as scrapey. And I think maybe to even that out, I'll have to scrape some color in the shadowy areas so that it balances. Because the previous paint where I glazed over the underpainting is very smooth. And then you got the scrape effect of the palette knife. And it definitely, two different kinds of paint applications. And I think that if I do some scraping in the shadowy areas as well with some identifiable colors, that it'll give me some consistency in the paint application. It's definitely a different process. I'm not comfortable with it, but like I said, it's new. It needs. I need to try new stuff, and I'm willing. Will I keep it scrapey like that? I guess it depends upon how the scrapiness of the shadowy areas work. If the shadowy areas help balance out the scrapiness application of the paint, then I think I'll be okay. But it's definitely showing the sunlight on the rock. Here. This shadowy area, I think, is a bit. I think it needs to come in a little bit more. Like I said, I'm I'm always trying something new. I guess if you guys know this because you follow along with me all the time. I'm so grateful that you hang out with me. So thank you. Thank you for hanging out with me. Let's see here. I am losing. A lot of this is nebulous. I can tell that I place things kind of wrong. So I'm going to make it up as I go along, I think, to what it should be and try to just. You cannot smudge with your finger. It's a totally different, it is a totally different look uh, than the scraping, and it is obvious. So you cannot. Yeah, I keep talking and then stopping. Sorry, guys. I'm like, I'm trying to add a little bit more paint to the edge. You can't really see it, but to the edge of the palette knife that I can then scrape around. Yeah, not having any control is a pain in the rear end. I'll tell you that right now. I don't know how palette knife painters do it, but I am not going to be a palette knife painter. I'll tell you that right now. I am not having it. I mean, I want it for the rock effect, but oh my gosh. It's like the paint only goes where it decides, like, is the sound of me scraping the canvas coming across? Because it is annoying as all get out to me. What do you think about that? That's really coming across as being shined on by that sunset, huh? Like I said, I keep looking at the camera view of the live stream. Shut up, crazy bear. Oh, I'll get you, my pretty, and your little dog too. But seriously, it's not that bad, is it? Wow. It'll be interesting to take, to see the before. I usually what I do with this before live stream, well, after live stream, I'll post on my social media the before the live stream and the after the live stream to see the kind of progress I was making. That definitely looks more like rock, at least in the view of the camera. When you're standing in front of it, you see scrapey paint. So it's like, ah. What, you done? You done get your butt beat later. All right. Let's, I'm going to turn this briefly because I think, I mean, you can see it with the camcorder. I don't know if the palette cam will do any better. I'm going to turn this so there's not as much glare. We'll do palette cam. Oh my gosh, it's already 9:30. Holy cow. Time flew, huh? Okay. Let me step back here. Okay. Oh, yeah, it would help if I did palette cam. And shut up, crazy bear. Yeah. All right. I'm just looking at it. It's a little dark on, hold on, let me change my lighting here. Okay, let's see. Try this again. All right, so here we go. So you see it from the distance here. Looks like rock, doesn't it? Now you get closer, and then you see all the scrapies. There we go, non-glare look. So that's what it looks like up close. It looks like a hot mess of scrapies, but when you back it up, it looks like rock. So, I mean, how do you square the up close with the distant? You know what I mean? And again, this closest hillside that does the shadow of the valley is a little still too dark than the reference photo. So I'll make those adjustments, but that's not bad. So I guess I'm gonna call this an interesting experiment in doing something new. Literally, I've never painted with a palette knife before. This is the first time I've actually done palette knife painting of any kind to an actual painting in progress. So, not bad, I guess, although very frustrating. Not a fan of the palette knife process, but it has its purpose, I swear. So, yeah, like I said, my mouse is, I guess I need to maybe check the batteries in this thing. Will it work? No, it won't work. Rat turd. All right. Anywho, let me see here. So yeah, it's coming along. It's coming along. There we go. Did I get paint all over? I didn't. Okay, thank goodness. But yeah, looking at it, it's scrapey mess up there. But when you, and again, I don't know if you've ever known, but the bigger a canvas is, it is actually meant to be viewed further away. It's designed by the virtue of its size. The further away you are, the better it registers. At least that's what I learned in university back in the day. And it makes sense to me because that's how it works with my paintings. Now, if I were super hyper realistic with my painting, which I'm not, and I won't ever be, then I would probably be doing this with small paintbrushes and painting edges of rock, and which would take a lot longer. But it would register as rock up close as well as far away. So I guess, it depends upon your paint style. I keep looking back up at it. Yeah, there you go. So, it depends on your paint style, but I like the effect it has when I'm looking at it on the camera, like you guys are seeing it. It looks like rock. That's so cool. But I worry about when people are standing right in front of it, like if it was on exhibit at the Creative Arts Guild or something, they'd be like, that kind of looks weird. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah. So, and I don't know if you see in the background here, I do have my other Elijah painting. I haven't touched it since last live stream. I plan to work on it this week too and get that finalized. And then I can finish it up, with not the glaze, but the varnish, and get the edges painting, the edges of the canvas finished, painted, and then varnish all that, get my pictures or scan done, and that'll be on the tent walls as well come September. So yeah, I gotta get this one finished, I gotta get that one finished, because those 4 paintings that I have are pretty big. Like the Rehearsal at Dusk, that's a 24 by 36 inch canvas. The Fireman, I believe, is 24 by 30. And then the Ghost of the Interior is 30 inches square. And then A Light in the Darkness is 18 inches by 24 inches. So they're not small. And those are going to be on exhibit. So those won't be on my tent walls. So I've got to fill up the tent wall space with other paintings. And that's where this, my Elijah painting, and whatever else I can throw up on the walls will come into play. What does it say? Put a rope up. Do you have to stay a bit back like at a museum? Oh, no, a rope up to keep people from being close to it. No, they don't do that. You can get right up close to a painting at this exhibition. Um, if you look up, if you're on Facebook at all, and if you're not, then don't worry about it. But if you are, you can look up the Creative Arts Guild out of Dalton, Georgia, and they have pictures of past events. And you might even see some of my paintings in those pictures. One of them was the painting Left Unattended, which is the painting of Ron as a chef getting ready to catch vegetables falling over. So that won the Patron's Choice Award that year. So if you go to their Facebook and look up their Creative Arts Guild Arts Fest pictures of years past, you'll see kind of the gallery that it's in. And last year I only had 3 paintings. The year before, I think I had 3 paintings. This year I've got 4. So this is, I think, the most paintings I've had on in that exhibition so far. So, but yeah, if I can get this one done before my trip and that one done before my trip, that'll help. And of course, how I arrange my tent at the Arts Fest will also play a factor, because if I put my print table up against a tent wall, that covers up some of the wall space if I need it. So I'm going to have to put my tent up downstairs in the basement as a dry run like I normally do, and see what my configuration of the paintings are going to be. And then that'll tell me how I need to set up my tent for September. So yeah, I'll have to do a dry run, and I'll probably have to put the tent up before my trip. I'm on the road starting either September 3rd or 4th, and I'm on my trip to New England to visit my kids and my grandkids for the full week after, and then I come back on the Sunday after. But I'm on the road 2 days up and 2 days back. So it's a 2-day trip to drive from Georgia up to New England. Oops, whoa, shh, be quiet. But in any case, so yeah, and then as soon as I come back on that Sunday, I've got essentially 4 days to get ready for this Art Fest in mid-September, which is a Friday night gala event, which is the opening night, and then the Saturday and Sunday tent festival of it. And then the rest of that time, it's just the exhibition hall where the artworks are on exhibit through October. So in any case, okay. So I know I went over this time. I'm pretty talkative, pretty painty. So yeah, not bad. I feel good about what I'm doing. I feel good about this painting, even though it's a little sketchy for me doing something brand new like palette knife painting. But it's given me an effect that I like. I just think I'll need to do the same kind of painting, palette knife painting in the shadowy areas with dark colors as well, so that it's consistent. And so yeah. So anyway, thank you for joining. Please, please, please do the algorithmic things for both here on Rumble and on YouTube, where you like, you comment, not just in the chat here, but in the comment section. If you would, please, I appreciate it. I take a lot of time and effort to do this online content, one for myself, but also, to generate an audience and appeal to people who kind of like oil painting and watercolor painting and flying by the seat of one's pants and just doing all kinds of crazy new stuff, because stretching oneself is always a little challenging, a little fun, a little scary. That's about the extent of my risk taking, is painting with palette knife when I've never done that before, instead of hanging by a rope from a cliff. To each his own, right? But anyway, do all the algorithmic things. Make sure you click the bell too, on YouTube and on Rumble, so it notifies you when I go online, because sometimes I just pop up online impromptu because I'm feeling lucky, I guess. I don't know. And you might not want to miss that because, comedy hour, who knows. But anyway, have a good night. Have a good rest of the week and have a good weekend. And I will plan on being here again next Wednesday doing another live stream, hopefully further along on this, and maybe I can even get this close to done. I really do need to try to finish it by next week ahead of my trip. So cross your fingers, pray for me, all that good vibing stuff if you're into the good vibing stuff. But yeah, prayers are what I prefer if you're in the praying kind. I appreciate it. But have a good night. Have a good week. See you next weekend. Adios, amigos.